The year was 1940. France was burning. The roar of German engines echoed across the morning sky, and the once peaceful fields of Europe had become a battlefield of fire and steel. Above the clouds, hundreds of fighter planes circled, hunted, and fell. This was not just a fight for land. It was a fight for the sky itself. The German Luftwaffe had unleashed its might, sending waves of Messerschmitt Bf-109s and Heinkel bombers deep into Allied territory. Below them, the people of France watched in fear, while above them, the pilots of Britain and France prepared to face death. From airfields hidden in the French countryside, young pilots ran toward their planes, their hearts pounding, their hands trembling. Many had never fired a shot in combat before, but when the sirens wailed, there was no time for fear. Engines screamed to life. The Spitfires and Hurricanes of the Royal Air Force lifted off one by one, their propellers slicing the morning mist. In the distance, the enemy appeared. Black dots at first, then silver wings glinting in the sunlight. "Bandits, 11 o'clock high!" The radio crackled with tension. The sky erupted. Tracer rounds tore through the air like lightning. Machine guns rattled. Smoke trails twisted through the clouds. One by one, planes turned into fireballs, falling toward the earth below. For every Allied pilot who fell, another took his place. They were outnumbered, but not outmatched. The Spitfire was agile, light, and fierce. It could turn inside the German fighters, and in the hands of a skilled pilot, it was a weapon of poetry and precision. High above the fields of France, a young British pilot named Thomas Hale locked eyes on an enemy bomber. He dove straight into its line of fire. Bullets ripped through his wings. Smoke poured from his engine, but he didn't turn back. He lined up his sights, fired a burst, and watched the bomber explode in a ball of fire. He never made it home. Such stories filled the skies every day. By June 1940, France was collapsing under the weight of the German blitzkrieg. But in the air, a new kind of courage was born. The Battle of France gave birth to legends. Pilots who refused to surrender, even as their bases burned. When France finally fell, many of them escaped to Britain, ready to fight again in what would soon become the Battle of Britain. That summer, the war for Europe moved north, across the English Channel. The Luftwaffe believed they could crush the Royal Air Force and invade Britain. But they were wrong. Day after day, the sky over England turned into hell. Hundreds of German bombers filled the air, escorted by swarms of fighters, while the RAF scrambled to intercept them. Outnumbered nearly 5-1, British pilots took off again and again, sometimes 5 missions a day. They slept beside their planes, ate when they could, and flew until their hands bled. Winston Churchill would later call them the few who stood between tyranny and freedom. Their courage turned the tide. For the first time, the German war machine was stopped, not on land, but in the air. By the end of 1940, the Luftwaffe had lost over 1,700 aircraft. The sky that once belonged to Germany now belonged to the defenders. The people of Britain looked up and saw hope. Hope written in smoke trails across the morning sky. And the pilots? They never saw themselves as heroes. They were just young men doing what had to be done, defending their homes, their friends, their skies. As the war dragged on, their legacy spread through every battlefield that followed, in North Africa, Italy, and the final liberation of France. But it all began here, in the skies of 1940, when a handful of brave souls rose against the storm. The world remembers the tanks, the generals, and the battles. But history often forgets the men who fought where the earth meets the heavens. Those who carried the war not on their shoulders, but on their wings. And though the war ended decades ago, the echoes of their engines still haunt the wind, reminding us that freedom was not won on the ground. It was won in the skies above France.